Hey everybody, it's Richard S. at Richard's Vinyl Tap House. This is kind of a special edition video for the week. I was coming up kind of dry for topics, but this one fell into my lap, literally. Well, not literally, but we'll talk. The other day I got a message from a retired teacher friend of mine who said, Hey, I saw that you have a vlog, Richard's Vinyl Tap House, and would I be interested in coming over to see some records he had in the basement? They were trying to, downsize and clean out things. And sure. So I worked up a time to go over yesterday and pulled out, no lie, three crate size boxes of records. Fairly heavy. Yeah, he helped, thank goodness. Loaded him into my car, asked him, like, what do you want for these? He was like, nope, take them. We want them out of the house. I'm like, thank you very much. Also, no lie, a couple of record players too. I might save that for another time because I really haven't looked at them too much yet. But going through the records last night, there were some that were keepers. There were a few surprises in there too. And things ranged from pristine surprise things. I'll talk about those in a minute. And then, a lot of it was, ooh, that looks good. And then you find out that the cover is completely coming apart and the record looks like someone, I don't know, played street hockey with it. Great album, by the way. But yeah, so there was an awful lot of that. It came down to about 35 pieces that I pulled out that I'd like to keep for me. I might go back through them and piecemeal some things to either trade in, take to Goodwill, whatever. But I wanted to share some of those with you because there are some interesting things in here. So I'm going to take you down here. I might edit this part out or I might just leave it. We'll see. So let's see how this works. So here we go. Now I can't see too well from this angle, but I'll work it out the best I can. Yeah, an ABBA promo album of ABBA the album with the name of the game, Take a Chance on Me, all that good stuff. Really nice inner with pretty fantastic vinyl. I was super shocked. I don't think I've ever seen an ABBA promo album in the wild, like ever. So that was in there. Played that today. It was pretty good. Couple of Beach Boys albums. Surface Safari. This is, I think, an American Capital issue. Man, I thought I had these already. Yeah, Orange Capital. Quite clean. Very playable. Very fun. I'll try not to take all of these out, but there's some interesting ones in here. Looks like a British copy of Beach Boys on a Starline label, which is mostly like old cover songs. Louie Louie, really? Alley Oop, Surface USA. Thought there was a cover on this one. I don't know. But interesting little album there. Another promo album. So Jim Croce's Photographs and Memories, his greatest hits, promo. Looks pretty much brand new. This would be all the Jim Croce I would ever need in my life, quite honestly. I have never seen this Deep Purple album. So it is called Purple Passages, double album. Played it this morning. Plays pretty well. I'm surprised. But I've never, ever, 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 ever seen that one, but it's in great condition. I had this album at one time, but a very clean copy of Ian Dury and the Blockheads Do It Yourself. I know there's like a whole bunch of different cover styles for the front, but this one, so cool to have that one. Yep, Bob Dylan, folks. Bob Dylan and the band, the double album. This looked pretty darn clean, and it looked like it had not even been played too much. A lot of these were pretty dusty, but that's easily taken care of. Dylan, Planet Waves. I think this one's in pretty good condition. Yeah, it is. Asylum label. Very nice. And This Jose Feliciano, I was kind of like, really? There were two of them. One looked like it was pretty dilapidated, but this one was super duper clean. Played it this morning. A lot of cover songs, so it was kind of a best of, but Hi Ho Sneakers is certainly an interesting little song. Nature Boy, Light My Fire. Yeah. California Dreamin', Wichita Lineman. Jose Feliciano is, pretty accomplished musician, and neat to have this one. It has kind of a textured cover art, which is really cool. A couple of months ago, I picked up Hetty's live album. Well, there's my companion piece, Hetty's Flat as a Pancake. That has Never Been Any Reason on it. In great condition. This one surprised me that it was in here. Now, keeping in mind, not just like, the Peter Gunn soundtrack, there was a lot of opera things, soundtracks, play, like My Fair Lady type things that were not in the greatest condition. I played this morning too. Sounds fantastic. Double album of Electric Ladyland. Looks really nice. Arlo Guthrie's Alice's Restaurant. This is a little bit rougher, but playable for the most part. It's I have actually never heard this before, so it looks to be an original from the 70s. Most of these are like 70s, 80s. Then the older ones that were in rougher shape were like 50s, but still. Yeah, Michael Jackson's Thriller. This turns out to be an OG in near perfect condition. I made a short of this one this morning. It's like, look what I found in this box of free records I got. So yeah, want to be starting something. Baby Be Mine, The Girl Is Mine, Thriller, Beat It, all of his big stuff. I've actually never had this album on vinyl. Some others, but go figure. Okay, this one's interesting too. So Jethro Tull's Aqualung. I've emailed Steve over at A is for Alice, B is for Bob to find out if this signed Ian Anderson could possibly be authentic. Who knows? I have never owned Aqualung, so now it's kind of a neat one to have in there too. Janis Joplin's Greatest Hits, solid Greatest Hits collection. Yeah, I have Pearl on vinyl, and this would be the only other Joplin I have. This is a neat little treasure of Imagine John Lennon. Played this, and I think this plays better than any copy I've ever owned. It looks to be a first issue from 71, and I say that because it has like the little card insert of him with the tree with the notes and all that. Not the poster, but still, absolutely clean, played beautifully today. Mamas and Papas, if you could believe your eyes and ears. The Mamas and Papas with what I call the bathroom photo. Look, the toilet's blocked out. That was like post edit, so I know this is not a first edition in that regard. But I've never had any Mamas and Papas. Was playing this earlier. Quite interesting little album. A Golden Hits double album from Mamas and Papas with a lot of their greatest hits, if you will. Yep, California Dreamin', all of these sounded really nice. This one surprised me too. Is Dave Mason. I haven't played. I don't think I've ever had a Dave Mason or even heard of. I know of him, but I don't know his music. So playing this morning, it was like, wow, this is really quite good. It might be a cutout, but I'm fine with that. Nice little album from Dave Mason called Headkeeper. Never heard of that one before. This one looks like it's never been played, and this is a later Pointer Sisters that has their song I'm So Excited on it. Yeah. Looked like it was absolutely unplayed. I've not played this one yet. Okay, now this one surprised me when I saw it, and looking at the condition of the cover, I was kind of like, oh, I wonder what the vinyl's going to be like. Turns out that the vinyl is absolutely amazing and clean and shiny and relatively, pop free, if you will. A lot of these I was playing on, they had some noise, but All of the records were in here. This is a later version because of certain albums that are shown on the inners. I know this one came out after. I think this came out in 1970. This probably came out like a 75 or 76. Rolling Stones, Let It Bleed. I've not played this one yet, but I'm familiar with this album. A lot of these have like places where it looked like these were taped to the walls and hung up as posters. Some of them might have pinholes in the corners where someone had put them up on the wall, but you know what? That's fine as long as the vinyl works. I don't actually think I've ever heard Let It Bleed. There were two copies of this one, and this is Goat Head Soup, right? Making sure, you don't want to get it wrong, get yelled at. Goat Head Soup, there were two copies in there. One looked pretty rough, especially the cover. This one is a lot cleaner. I had never owned this one. I have very little Rolling Stones. Go figure. Now, I had to laugh when I saw this. I was like, oh, this is going to be, absolutely beat to hell, right? Try no. Saturday Night Fever, the Bee Gees got super huge with this one, but this vinyl is absolutely practically unplayed. I'm not sure what's going on there, but happy to have that one. I've never owned this album. I had the Bee Gees' greatest hits at one point, but still. All right, Simon & Garfunkel's greatest hits. Great Nick, great songs. My parents used to own this Simon & Garfunkel album, Bridge Over Troubled Water, and now I do too. Great album, super clean too. This is one of my little jaw droppers. I was like, what? Tears for Fears, Songs from the Big Chair. I know this one can sell for stupid money, and this is a first generation, looks to be a sort of first generation press with Shout, all of the big hits from this one. On the Mercury label, so it's not a UK pressing that has the Tears for Fears logo on the label, but still, super clean, sounds fantastic. It's such a well-produced album, as is this one. I actually never owned Toto 4 because I got so sick of hearing Africa, but this turns out to be a really good Toto album. Toto is one of those super underrated bands that just kind of gets lumped into yacht rock, and they really shouldn't. But, c'est la vie. Great album from Toto. Glad to pull that one. I know of Rick Wakeman and his work with Yes, and he's an accomplished pianist. This is pretty much a, not piano, but synth keyboards kind of instrumental album. It's okay. It's something I'm going to play a lot, but no. So this is it's Criminal Record, but it was in great shape. I'll probably put this in my jazz section with instrumentals and whatnot. There were two Yes albums. Can't remember the second one, but Relayer was in there, and I was like, oh, this. I was hoping this was going to be in good shape, and it really was. So, yeah, it looks pretty good. I was very happy with that one. I have very few Yes albums. Oops. Line that up in there. There we go. I have very few Yes albums other than 90125 and, a couple of others. This was fun to play. First time I've ever played it was this morning. This is an interesting little album, and I vaguely remember this coming out in the late 70s, 1978. Various artist album on the A&M label that features some interesting tracks. I'm going to put this up here. Hopefully you can see this. Take Me On Yours, billed as UK Squeeze, probably because there was a American band called Squeeze, and they yelled and screamed that, you can't call your band Squeeze, we already had that out. Well, guess who's more popular? They are. But UK Squeeze, the Police is on here, Joe Jackson, a couple of bands I've never heard of. I don't know who Clark Kent is, but that No Care song is pretty fun. Stranglers are on here. So Joe Jackson, the Police, the Stranglers, the Dickies, a couple of songs by them too. Really clean. I've looked this up on Discogs, and it sells anywhere from like, $9 to $20. Who knew? Am I selling it? Hell no, because I am pretty impressed about that one. This one is probably more for Colorado local interest. Pete McKay's Nostalgic Rock Volume 1. KBPI is a record label, not a record label, a radio station here in town that's done compilations on CD for years and years. I don't know if they still do, but I've never seen a vinyl one. Um, Looks like it's kind of more focused on nostalgic rock. Chuck Berry, Richie Valens, Frankie Ford, Circles, Red Rubber Ball is on here. Bobby Day, Freddie Cannon, Bobby Fuller 4, Percy Sledge, The Turtles, and Eddie Cochran. I mean, it's interesting. I have not played this one yet, but I thought, just more for local interest, if anything. So I'm going to take you back up and I'll close this out. If I could do this without hurting myself. Hi again. Now, let me get balanced so we don't get seasick. So that was kind of what I pulled from the freebie box. Sorry this went on so long, but I try to keep it as short as possible. I'll talk maybe more about these in some other videos when I get to playing them in more depth, and maybe some of the other titles that I've looked through and decided to hang on to also. But anyway, thanks for following me along with this journey, and we will talk to you all soon. Behave, take care, bye.